Viola Desmond won't be budged. Viola Desmond was one brave woman. Now come on here, listen in close, and I'll tell you why. It was a day with a zing in the air when Viola set out on her way. She waved to Gladys and Sue, who worked for her at Vi's studio beauty parlor. Then she stepped into her car and drove away. Viola drove those winter wet roads with care. She had a meeting to attend 3 towns away. But guess what? She never made it there. First, she heard a rattle. Then she heard a clunk, and her car began to shake. Quick, Viola drove into New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, to a garage. The mechanic said it would take some long hours to fix up the car, so Viola made plans to pass the time. She walked up the street and down until she came upon the beautiful Roseland Theater. I'll watch a movie, Viola thought, and she stepped up to the window to buy a ticket for the show. Her ticket in hand, Viola found the perfect seat, right down close where she could see real good. But then she felt a tap on her shoulder. She looked up into the face of the usher. "You have a cheap upstairs ticket," she said. "You have to go up to the balcony." "Well," said Viola, "that cashier must have made a mistake. I'll just go on and buy me a main floor ticket then." The usher shook her head. "No, you people have to sit in the upstairs section." Right then, Viola understood crystal clear what she was saying. It was 1946. Back then, the Roseland Theater, like a lot of other places in Canada, was segregated. That meant black people were not allowed to sit, stand, or even be in the same section as white people. Viola felt sad. Viola felt scared. But most of all, Viola felt mad. "Look," she said, "I'm willing to pay the right price, and this is the seat I want, so I'm not moving." "Well," said the usher, and went to tell the manager. "Well," said the manager, and went to phone the police. And before you knew it, all 3 of them came up to Viola to insist that she move to the balcony. But I told you Viola was brave, didn't I? She wouldn't budge 1 inch because she knew this seating rule wasn't fair to black folks. It was just plain wrong. So the manager and the policeman dragged her out of the theater in a real rough way. They took Viola to jail. Can you believe it? She sat on a hard bench all night long and tried to keep her spirits strong. The next morning, Viola was taken before a judge and charged with not paying the proper ticket price. She tried to explain that she was happy to pay more for a downstairs ticket, but they didn't listen to her. Viola was charged a fine of $20, which was a whole lot of money in those days. Then she was free to go. Viola was glad to get back home to her beauty parlor. When people came by to visit, she told them what had happened to her in New Glasgow. The story made them angry too. So, Viola and black community groups in Nova Scotia decided to appeal her charge. A year later, in 1947, they faced the Nova Scotia Supreme Court. But the judges there sure didn't want to talk about racial segregation. They said Viola's case had been fair, and they canceled her appeal right there. Still, Viola's bravery made a big difference. She inspired all kinds of people to fight against segregation, and by the late 1950s, it was made against the law. So come on and join me in saying thank you to Viola Desmond, a real hero who sat down for her rights.